Well, there's been a lot of activity of earthquakes and a lot of movement of tectonic plates going on as pressure has been applied from the atmosphere upon the earth. And also there's movement in the core of the earth. And then if you want to throw in Planet X, some gigantic body, a planet of some sort. What is it? Planet 7X? Is it Planet X? Is it Nibiru? But anyway, 10 times larger than the Earth has been pulling gravitational pull on the Earth. Okay, these things we know.
I started looking further afield from regular literature and stumbled upon a book by Zecharia Sitchin named called The 12th Planet. And this is outside of a normal field of view, and I thought it was interesting. Sitchin's theory was that the Sumerians were aware of this planet, and that that there was a planet in our solar system, what he called a 12th planet, which came in and out of our solar system on a regular basis. Orbital path was like that of a long period comet, but it was actually the size of a planet, maybe 3 to 5 times the mass of Earth or larger. And he believes that the Sumerians were aware of this planet, and then they recorded it in their creation epic called Enuma Elish, which means. And I wrote an entire book on the subject, not only about the creation of the Earth, but also the Nativity, and of course the Second Coming, which I was focusing on, where I believe that Planet X will return, and the battle between God and the dragon will resume. That is to say, Planet X and Earth, and that's really the subject of the book. Planet X, the sign of the Son of Man, and the end of the age. It's like this is the resumption of an old battle, which will reoccur again in the end times, and which actually is described in the Bible as the resurgence of this dragon character. Was mentioned in Revelation 12. And this is a resumption of this old battle, and Planet X will return, and there will be another conflict between Earth and Planet X, which will result in a catastrophic end to human civilization.
And then it says, a great star falls from heaven, burning like a lamp. It fell on the third part of the rivers and fountains of waters, and the name of the star is called Wormwood. And the third part of the waters become wormwood or bitter. Many men die of the waters because they're made bitter or poisonous, or let's just say radiation. Anytime a meteorite or an asteroid or something comes from the heaven and hits the earth, it brings with it a ton of radiation, which would make waters polluted and you couldn't drink it. So what causes it? What could shake the heavens? Send asteroids or comets crash into the earth, creating a catastrophic, cataclysmic, apocalyptic event. And then you look at the destroyer. Planet X is sometimes called, Nibiru, or the destroyer, and now we're hearing NASA say that something is pulling on the probe around Saturn, pulling on all the planets, the moons of the planets, pulling on something hidden, something somewhere is pulling. It's a gravitational pull. And we see earthquakes and volcanic eruptions last year. We broke the record for most earthquakes over 6.0 last year, and we broke the record for most volcanic eruptions last year, and we're blowing the world away with sinkholes, and we've never even heard of such a thing. And so something's happening, okay? And something's causing it to happen. But it actually, Jesus said it in Luke 21, and the Bible prophesies it in Revelation 8. So that's where I'm seeing that a Planet X doesn't have to hit us. It's just what it does in the effect is what I truly believe is causing and is going to cause major events on the earth, and it's Bible prophecy.
Yeah, the more I personally hear about different theories and things about Planet X, the more that I'm becoming convinced too.
Wow, I do sincerely apologize for making you all watch that. I mean, if there is anyone even still watching at this point, I don't know, maybe not. I'm sorry to make you suffer through that, but there was a purpose for it. Obviously, to provide context for what I wanted to say on this topic. Why are we talking about Planet X? I mean, why is anyone talking about Planet X? For me, that's really the point that I've been on for quite some time now. Is in the last last few years, it's really been increasingly popular amongst, Bible prophecy, conspiracy type teachers and stuff. And it wasn't always like this. When I first started looking into prophecy and conspiracy and things like that, this Planet X was more or less relegated to the realms of the whole New Age side of the truth movement and the 2012ers and all this sort of thing. And I think thanks largely to several of the people that I just showed, like guys like Doug Elwell and Paul Begley, a lot more people are starting to, or a lot more Christians are starting to kind of give serious thought to the idea of Planet X fitting into Bible prophecy somehow, or at least they're willing to talk about it, without just laughing and mocking and attacking it the way that Flat Earth is. And I suppose that's one of the things that just by itself kind of is fascinating, is that, like, I mean, even within the realm of, a strictly Copernican paradigm, as far out there as the whole Planet X Nibiru idea is, people will still, they'll still hear it out. They'll still kind of, it still doesn't get the treatment that Flat Earth does. Nothing does. But when I listened to that, I just had to include this clips of this Paul Begley guy. If you don't know who Paul Begley is, he's like an ex-preacher who's now kind of moved to a YouTube ministry type thing, and he's just on there every day talking about stuff, and he has like 130,000 subscribers or something like that, and like 8,000 videos on his channel. It's kind of insane. So, there's a lot of people listening to this guy, a lot of people digging what he's saying, and he is 100% on board with Planet X. And as you can see, it's interesting because his idea, I never really, Planet X was something that I never really gave serious consideration to. I just was like, I mean, even when I believed in a globe and everything, was like, how could that even work? How's a planet going to be undetected and then come in and impact the Earth without killing everyone? And, so now there's a lot of people kind of grabbing onto this idea that it's just, it's the gravitational pull of this hidden planet that's affecting, causing all these earthquakes and natural disasters, and tying it to Revelation. And, it's just amazing because he just says all these things like he really believes this is his, his understanding of how gravitational theory works. Gravity can do anything. You and I don't feel the gravitational pull of Planet X, but it affects things in the Earth. And I don't know. I'm not even going to go off on that, but it's, to me, the whole thing is interesting because, for a long time, ever since I started getting into flat Earth research and, thinking about the implications thereof, and, obviously you start to realize how flat Earth, or how cosmology, Copernican cosmology really sets the foundations for evolutionary theory. So, in an enclosed system, evolution just falls apart like right away. And then as sort of as an extension of that, the whole idea of aliens who would have evolved in distant galaxies, and the whole alien paradigm falls apart, and you start to see all the connections and how it all fits together. And so what I had, kind of wrestled over is like, well, I know that there's lots of people who they won't give flat Earth the time of day, but they still fully are aware of the fact that evolution is a lie, or that the whole alien deception agenda. And so what does enclosed cosmology really make a huge amount of difference when it comes to eschatology and end times deception? How could it still be a major major key element to the great deception, the last days deception, if a lot of people can kind of figure these sorts of things out without flat Earth, right? And that's why I think this whole Planet X topic is so interesting, because it's like, so even with all these people that they're they have awareness about the lie of evolution, they have awareness about the whole alien deception and all the the little avenues thereof, and probably know a lot more about it than I do. But because they're still firmly in this heliocentric Copernican cosmology, then you introduce something like this Planet X idea, and they either just dismiss it outright based on conventional ideas of heliocentric cosmology and gravity and making it impossible and everything, or it goes the other way, and suddenly they're like Paul Begley, who's interpreting practically everything in Revelation through this naturalistic, gravitational paradigm. Like gravity is what's responsible for everything he reads in Revelation and sees going on, of fish die-offs and sinkholes, and it's all gravity, which is just interesting because obviously if you're becoming convinced by flat Earth evidence, that's certainly not, you're not going to fall for that kind of explanation whatsoever. It's nonsense. So to me, it's just really an interesting topic to consider, like how a further layer of deception can be injected into people that they do understand a lot. They understand a lot of the New World Order agenda, but yet, I mean, here you have this guy talking about wormwood in Revelation, and what the scripture says is just, it's like right in your face, and he's just blind to it because of everything he's injecting into the text and just filtering it all through. I mean, the whole thing of wormwood is amazing because it's describing this event, and it's really just, it calls it an angel, but it also describes it as a mountain, a burning mountain that comes in, and it actually does describe it as hitting the earth, not just having a gravitational effect on it or something. It is an impact, but it's a being. It has a name. It's called a star. So all these definitions are simultaneously being tied together in this one verse, and it's one of the most powerful scriptural evidences of I think this whole angelic, heavenly, enclosed cosmology, this biblical enclosed cosmology that we're talking about, where the stars and the angels are inextricably linked and in a very undeniable way. And yet it's right in front of his face, and he's trying to make it about gravity and radiation and all this stuff. And it just kind of amazes me. So yeah, I'm not saying that I have some elaborate prediction of how this sort of deception linked with this resurgence of Planet X, teaching, trying to link it to Bible prophecy, exactly how that deception would play out. To me, it's just something that is very worthwhile to keep an eye on and to kind of see as just an avenue that I hadn't really thought of until this last 6 months or so, in terms of another layer of deception that is still sucking people in who they are aware of a lot of the other pieces, but this is one that can kind of come from, it can kind of work in a number of angles and a number of directions. And so I'm still kind of examining what all those possibilities are, but it's just very interesting to think about in terms, especially in light of what I'm sure most of us are familiar with,